Welcome to this explainer. Look, we are going to strip away the endless confusion, the fads, all that noise, and just tackle the brutal, honest, and highly effective truth about losing fat. If you've ever felt totally overwhelmed by all the conflicting fitness advice out there, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to break down the actual, literal mechanics of fat loss, using the source material to show you exactly how to make your success almost guaranteed.
People usually assume fitness is just this basic, even split between diet and exercise. And sure, diet, exercise, and good quality sleep, they each make up about 25% of the equation. But as you can see, the overwhelming, 500% majority of your success, it actually comes down to one single thing. Just doing what you actually promised yourself you would do. Literally just following through. All right, let's just dive right into this roadmap. We're starting from the inside out, tackling mindset and habits first, then the math of fat loss, macros and processed foods, the no-count method, some rapid-fire diet hacks, and finally, exercise and sleep. Let's kick things off with Section 1, Mindset and Habits. Getting started is the easy part, right? But to make it almost impossible to fail, we really have to look closely at the psychology of adherence. Step 1 is getting inspired. You see a photo, you get fired up. But look, inspiration is fleeting. It fades in a day. So you have to immediately convert that into Step 2, a measurable goal. Something like, I'm going to lose 5 pounds by July 1st. Step 3 is mapping out a realistic plan to get there. It could literally be as simple as swapping out that sugary granola for some strawberries and eggs. But here's the catch. Having a plan isn't enough. Step 4 is absolutely crucial. You have to physically set up your environment the night before. Boil those eggs. Lay out those running clothes. Make it so that when you wake up, following through is just the absolute easiest option you have. Because think about it. If you don't shape your environment, you're relying entirely on willpower. And spoiler alert, willpower is not infinite. If you accidentally fall face first into a booth at IHOP and try to rely purely on willpower to avoid a 1,000-calorie meal, yeah, you're going to fail. You'll start making excuses like, oh, I just won't eat later, or you know what, maybe I'll just start bulking. The real cheat code here isn't trying harder, it's removing the temptation entirely until making the right choice just becomes this completely automatic habit. Moving on to Section 2, the math of fat loss. Now, what's really interesting about the math here is that your daily weigh-ins, they don't matter nearly as much as your weekly averages. It's all about the calorie deficit. If you eat in a deficit, say 1,700 calories when your body actually burns 2,000, you will lose fat, period. But metabolisms are tricky, right? If you're supposedly in a deficit and a whole week goes by with absolutely no progress on the scale, 200 to 300. That is the exact number of calories you need to drop to get that momentum going again. But to actually hit that deficit, you have to track accurately. Using apps and food scales is super accurate, though yeah, it's a bit tedious. Ironically, something like the McDonald's menu is easy because the math is already done for you. But if you're going to try and get away with doing mental math, look, that only works if you round up like crazy. If you think a snack is 300 calories, you better just assume it's 500. If you think a bite is too small to count it anyway. All right, Section 3, macros and processed foods. So the crucial point regarding macros is that for basic weight loss, you really only need to care about your total calories and your protein intake. You can literally fill the rest of those calories with anything. But, and this is a huge but, you have to be incredibly careful with fats. Oils, nuts, cheeses, they're so incredibly calorie dense. Just a harmless-looking little pack of trail mix can instantly destroy your deficit because, honestly, it has about 3 times the calories of a dying neutron star. It's crazy. People love going on the internet and bragging that they can eat a whole family-sized box of cereal and still lose weight. And technically, yeah, they're right. But what they conveniently leave out of that story is the brutal reality of having this empty, starving void in their stomach for 23 hours a day, or getting their blood work back and it basically just looks like a giant crying emoji. It's just that worth it. Which brings us to Section 4, the no-count method. Look, if calculating every single morsel of food sounds absolutely miserable to you, let's talk about a method where you don't have to track much of anything at all. The number one trick here is swapping refined, highly processed foods for minimally processed whole foods. Think about it. 200 calories of Oreos is practically nothing, barely a bite. But 200 calories of strawberries? That's a massive overflowing bowl. These whole foods are so incredibly filling and nutritious that you can just comfortably stay in a deficit without ever feeling starved. Next up, Section 5, Diet Hacks and Quick Tips. For those inevitable moments when things get really hard, here is a rapid-fire consolidation of tips to keep you completely on track. First up, satiety. To naturally suppress your appetite, keep a massive water bottle nearby. Honestly, half the time you think you're hungry, you're just thirsty. Eat high-volume meals 3 to 5 times a day to avoid those dangerous windows of extreme hunger. Oh, and pack in the protein. This is so cool. Your body literally burns roughly 20 calories just trying to digest 100 calories of protein. Moving to the psychological side of things, you can actually trick your brain into feeling full just by using smaller plates and bowls. Try utilizing intermittent fasting if it fits your schedule, or use black coffee to suppress your appetite. And listen to me on this one. Never let a mistake become an excuse to just totally quit. Oh, and absolutely never, ever utter the deadliest phrase in diet history, "You know what? I'll actually start dieting tomorrow." Because we all know what happens then, right? It never happens.
Finally, let's talk smart swaps. You want to completely avoid liquid calories. It is way too easy to drink an entire meal's worth of calories and still be starving. Use zero-calorie diet sodas to crush those sweet cravings instead. Swap in egg whites or keto bread and use zero-calorie condiments to make things taste incredible. Just a quick warning though, don't overdo the flavor because the tastier your food is, the more your brain is going to crave highly palatable food. All right, bringing us home with Section 6, exercise and sleep. We've built the foundation with nutrition and psychology, so let's finally touch on the physical accelerators. Look, diet is king, for sure, but lifting weights, that boosts your metabolism and builds muscle. Hitting 10,000 steps, that is a literal cheat code for fat loss. And layering in just a little bit of cardio makes staying in a deficit dramatically easier. Plus, I guarantee, once you realize how painfully hard it is to actually burn 200 calories on a treadmill, you are way less likely to just casually pop open a 200-calorie bag of chips. But you really can't lie to yourself about this next part. You can have the most perfect meal plan, an elite workout routine, the whole shebang. But if you're getting terrible sleep, your hormones are going to fight you every single step of the way. Quality sleep regulates your hormones, and those hormones determine pretty much everything about fat loss. Your hunger, your stress, all of it. And ultimately, when these habits really stick and the results start showing, this whole thing goes from being just a temporary, kind of painful lifestyle choice to the ultimate goal. It actually becomes your entire personality. You just become a healthy person. So I'll leave you with this. Are you ready to stop fighting yourself? Are you ready to let these habits take over? Take these tools, set up your environment tonight, and prove to yourself that losing weight really is easy, actually.